I reminisce about the love we had. I reminisce about the love we had. Tender moments seem to go so fast. Reminisce, reminisce. I reminisce about the love we had. I reminisce about the love we had. A love so strong it will never pass.
Love Park Connection.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
So, today we were going to talk about apologizing and restoring harmony in your relationship. But this one right here,
Yeah.
you don't want to do this one, so forget it. We're going to toss it in the air. Just forget
Toss it in
about
the
it.
air. Yep.
So, what are we going to talk about then?
Well, see, sometimes some of the best conversations that we have,
We have some good conversations.
there's some good ones. Sometimes some of the best ones is just ones that when we just coming out the blue, just talking, and then we get to talking, and then we're always like, oh man, we should make that a podcast. So one we're gonna discuss today is about parents being held accountable for their children's
Mistakes,
being
being
acting
bad,
a damn fool.
acting up, and some of these things we hear, like from my sister, who's a school teacher. She
Yes.
teaches
Ninth grade,
10th
grade.
and 10th grade. So some of the information and some of the things that we hear are from her,
Yep.
and the lack of accountability that's going not only in the schools but the parents. But there's a twist to that, as Pierre was saying. Who should be held accountable for when your child is acting up? So that's what we're going to talk about. But before we get started, let us introduce ourselves. Welcome to Love Park Connection, where we talk about the pains and pleasures of life, love, and relationships. My name is Angela Parker,
And I'm Pierre Parker.
and we are a husband and wife marriage and relationship coaching duo. We've been together 28 years.
28.
Oh, I'm sorry. We've been married 28 years.
Yep.
I always do that.
Yeah.
Together for over 30 years.
Yep.
And it's our goal to help couples communicate more, love more,
More.
and build healthy long-term relationships and marriages.
Yes.
So let's get started with this conversation. Do you want to start? I'm gonna let you start because this is one of his pet peeves, because there'll be things on the news that we'll see about, when we watch news. We don't watch it often, but when we watch the news, that parents are being held accountable for certain things, and he and I go back and forth because.
Yeah.
My perspective, and then I'll let him talk, is depending on the age of the child, depending on different circumstances, yes, parents have to be held accountable. Not for everything, but there are certain things that parents have to be held accountable. But we're going to start, we're gonna take this, go on with this topic. So
Yeah.
you start, baby.
I'll start it because, one of the things is we recently saw in the news. We don't watch the news that much because it's just too much bullshit on the news. But we just happen to be somewhere where we happen to see on the news where they charged this mother. They sentenced her to 2 years in prison because her 6-year-old son shot a teacher. And I was like, man, that's kind of messed up. And, I was just like, man, that's messed up that she actually got charged for that. And what Angela was saying was, well, the child is 6. And I understand that. Yes, and
Somebody has to be held accountable because a child can't go to jail.
Yeah, in that case is understandable, somewhat understandable. But there are other cases where, you got teenagers that are acting a damn fool, and the parent has to be held accountable for that teenager acting a damn fool. And I don't agree with that.
And there was one, and I think this also stems back from when, I don't know if we can, I guess we can say her name on YouTube, Kamala Harris, because we live in California, and this was way back when. Again, I don't get too much into political stuff, but she was saying that parents have to be held accountable when they're teenagers, especially when they're teenagers or their children are cutting school. Now, yes, when your child is young and you're dropping them off in school, or you're expecting them to, take the bus or whatever the case is, because everybody can't drop their kids off at school. Some children have to take the bus. Yes, it is the responsibility of the parent to make sure that that child is getting to school. But once they become teenagers and they have so much more freedom, and you're thinking, hey, your child is going to school and they're not, and they're cutting, I don't think the parent, and I agree with him on this, I don't think the parent at a certain age should be held accountable for their teenage child not doing what they're supposed to do.
Exactly.
Unless you're just neglecting your child. And again, there's so many different variables, but unless you're just neglecting your child and not keeping up with what this young person is doing, then, that's another issue.
Yeah.
But, like he was saying,
yeah, there's so many times when you have, now yes, I can understand if the child is in a home where, the parent is neglecting them, or there's a lot of circumstances that's going on that's, the child is lashing out from that. But that's not always the case. A lot of times there are very good parents who work hard, who, do whatever they can for their kids, who backing them, making sure the kid is going to school, and watching them, helping them with their homework and stuff. And very good parents, but their kid does some dumb shit. And now you want to hold the parent accountable for that? No. Right. Hold that damn kid responsible for that.
Because that's what I think is lacking. And especially like we talk about our sister, that the schools are not... Where's the accountability for these children? If these children are doing wrong, where is the accountability? And the stories that my sister tells us about how even the schools don't really hold the kids accountable. They do these all this hand holding and all this stuff that doesn't keep the child accountable and teach them responsibility. But then you'll have some of these parents who will also come in and not take accountability. And then when that happens, that's when I say, hey, the parents need to be held accountable when their child isn't doing what they need to do.
Yeah.
But like Pierre was saying, if you got parents who are good parents and their kids are cutting school, and these parents have to go to work. We were two-parent income household where we both had to go to work. Thankfully, Pierre was able to take him. I would take him to school and then he would pick them up. So we were able to do that, but not everybody's able. And, and if you're trying to do what you can to put food on the table, keep a roof over your child's head, and they're not going to school and doing what they need to do, even in school, they're not doing what they need to do, then the child needs to be held accountable because the child has to learn accountability.
Exactly.
So
exactly, and that's not what's happening. We're not getting these kids. There's no consequences. They're not being held accountable for this stuff, so they continue to do dumb shit. So, and I'm like, no. And like I always tell my sister, I'm like, look, you lucky I ain't the principal of that school. She's so lucky. They so lucky because it would.
She'd like you to be the principal of that school.
Because I'm talking, it'll be straight. We'll go back to the old schools of whooping that ass. I'll make the parents sign a waiver and be like, look, you sign this waiver that your kid, if he get too much out of hand, we get to beat the hell out of him. Get them straight. Look.
Well, I have to admit, because I went to a Catholic school for a short time, and those nuns didn't play.
Yeah. And
you were mad. You were kept in line because you knew there were consequences for your actions.
Yes.
And, that ruler, and again, this was a Catholic school, so it is different than the public schools, but that ruler was no joke. And it kept you in line because you didn't want to deal with the consequences of you acting up or acting out. So you did what you were told, and you stayed in line, and you didn't have to feel that ruler.
Yep.
The wrath of the nuns. Look, you didn't want that.
prime example. We had our son in a school. We put him in there. It was a it was an African school, African type school, and he went from a school that was predominantly all white. We had to take him out of there, and we put him into this African school, and they made us sign a waiver that said if he gets out of hand,
He's gonna see the board
he
of
gonna
education.
they had this paddle called the Board of Education that had holes up in it, so it cut through the air. When you whooping that ass, it cut through the air. So they made us sign this waiver that if he got too much out of hand, the Board of Education could come out on him. I couldn't wait to sign that waiver.
And I know a lot of folks, man, you shouldn't be, that's, abuse, that's this, that's that. And, I don't know. We're from the 80s, so...
Yeah, we from the old school.
Where we were held accountable. We knew if we got out of hand that there were going to be some consequences. And sometimes some consequences were, you got a spanking.
Yeah.
You got your butt whooped. My mom called it a spanking.
If you
No,
don't
my
stop with
mom
the
called
spanking.
No, my mom called it spanking. You know how she
Whatever.
was.
Spanking
But-
is a little... don't do that no more. No, you get your ass whooped.
Anyway. So, what I'm saying is that we've got a lot of parents who don't agree with spanking or whooping or however you want to call it, but there has to be some sort of consequence. If you don't agree with spanking or whooping your child, then there has to be a consequence beyond I'm just going to take your phone away from you for a week. You've got to find something that child is going to respond to, and every child is different. And I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist, but you got to find something. We've raised 2 children. Both of them had to deal with consequences.
Yeah.
One time, Pierre had to take Tyler down to the karate school, put on some boxing gloves, because Tyler, by this time, he was overpowering me, and he had to take him down to the karate school and show him, look, this is what we are not going to do. And they boxed it out. And to this day, Tyler laughs about it because
we laugh about it
in
all the time.
hindsight, he knew, hey, I was doing wrong. I needed some form of discipline. So you got to figure out what works for your kids. But going back to our topic on the parents being held accountable, as a parent, it's your responsibility
Yeah.
to make sure your child is doing right. And then, of course, if you're doing what you're supposed to do as the parent, then I don't think, again, depending on the circumstances, that the parent needs to be held accountable especially if your teenage child is out there doing wrong.
Yeah.
know.
I mean, we got some teenagers now that's just, fight the stuff that my sister tells us about that goes on in the classroom. She said they throw water bottles at her and then broke tables, broke computers. Then,
It's out of control.
it's out of control. And on top of that, the school allows them to have their phone in the class, which don't make sense to me. And they sit in the class and they just looking at TikTok videos and all of this stuff. And Lord, hold on. I thought I had my phone on Do Not Disturb. But anyway, sorry about that, y'all. It is on Do Not Disturb. Oh, because mom can call. I have to call mom back. But anyway, yeah, so, these kids are out of control. They're just losing it. They coming through doing TikTok videos in the middle of class, not doing their work.
Not doing their work, and and most of them can't read at grade level. And this is nothing new. This is nothing new. I'm sure you guys have heard this over and maybe dealing with it yourselves. That your children are struggling in school, and that's not what we're really trying to talk about. We're just really trying to say that these children have to be held accountable, and it should not always be, the powers that be saying that, well, if your kid is acting out, then you got to go to jail or you got to whatever. So it's almost it's a vicious cycle almost.
It is.
Especially if you're a parent who is really trying to do know the right thing, and you are out there taking care of business, and you got a child that's out of control. So again, we're not holding these kids responsible and accountable for their actions. So
No.
why should they stop doing what they're doing if nobody's,
Yeah. And half the time they like, they ain't tripping that their parents getting held accountable. They still getting away with what they get away
getting
with.
away with what they getting away
So
with?
it's like,
Exactly.
So it's like, okay, if that's if that's the way you feel, then time to get your ass whooped. Look, like I said, I'm from the old school. Respect. If you didn't respect back when you was coming up in my day, you got your ass beat. You got it beat by either your dad or your uncle. It could have been your neighbor if you was acting right. It wasn't acting right. It was. That's why they said it was a village. That it took a village.
It took a village.
And you. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, babe.
No, I was going to say I don't know when, and where, and why that stopped, but it's almost to the point where whether it's almost to the point that if you're spanking your kids, and I say spanking because that's what my mom used. That's the word my mom used.
Mm-hmm.
If you're spanking your kids nowadays, then you're abusing your child.
Yeah.
No, there's a difference between a spanking and abuse. There is a difference.
There's a difference, and
So-
right now society has made they made the line to where there's no difference, which
Right.
doesn't make sense to me. Well, I understand why, but I get more into my conspiracy theories. But I understand why. But there is a difference. There's a line. I mean, there's abuse, and then there's discipline.
Right.
And in the animal kingdom, if a lion and the lion cub gets out of hand, what does the lion do? The lioness or the lion father, the lion dad, they nip them. It's the same as a whooping. They give them a little bite on the butt or whatever it is. They pop them or whatever it is. So they learn. They learn that discipline. That's what a parent is for. And we've gotten out of that. The whole parenting thing.
Right.
We're letting social media parent your kids. And it shouldn't be that.
No.
And that's pretty much what society wants.
Because I can tell you, being raised in the 80s, I've got my fair share of discipline, whether it was a whooping, spanking, whatever you want to call it, to, no, you're not going to do this. And I knew, and the thing is, I knew that if I went against what my mother said or my father, there would be consequences. And I didn't want to deal with them consequences, so I say most of the time, because I was the rebel of the three of me and my older brothers. I was the rebel. So
She was the bad one.
supposedly,
The bad thing.
but I pushed boundaries, but I also knew how far to push. These kids don't know how far to, or they just go over the boundaries because they know what you're gonna do. You're not gonna do nothing.
Yeah, you ain't gonna spank me.
Right.
Oh, you want to put me on timeout? You want to take my phone? I'll get my phone back after a while. So
Exactly.
I ain't tripping.
Exactly.
Nah,
Exactly.
So that's to me. Like I
And
said,
we came out fine.
Yeah.
I don't sit there, going, oh, my mom used to spank me and, get all up in my feelings. It was what it was, and I deserve what I got.
Yeah.
And I'm fine.
And
Ain't
you're
no
fine.
mental abuse, ain't no scars and nothing of that nature.
No.
And I think we've just gotten so far away from that that we're afraid to discipline our kids, or we like he said, letting social media raise the children. And we've got a group of children that are out of control
Yep.
and wilding out. And this is the next generation of kids that are going to be taking care of us as we get older.
Yeah.
No, thank you. No,
Yeah.
thank you. And I wonder, and I always ask this: do other countries have this problem with their children? I don't know. I've never lived in another country, so I don't know. But I do. It'd be interesting to see if other countries have this discipline problem that we have here in America.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents.
I don't think they do.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. But I think also the other problem is that you have too many parents that's trying to be their kids' friends.
Yeah.
And it's like, now you can't do that. You can't try to be friends and all and be the disciplinary and the parent at the same time. Now, yeah, you can have a respect to a certain level, but once you start trying to be that friend, all of a sudden now to the child, that line is blurred.
Yep.
So now they think they can talk to you how they want to talk to you and all of that type of stuff. Nah, you can't do that. We still, there is a difference. I am your parent. I am raising you. No, you don't talk to me like I'm your partner, like
No.
your friend.
We had to tell our daughter that because
Yeah.
she's 10 years younger than our son, and she learned that she can't. You're not gonna talk to mama like that,
No.
So,
No.
but it's just a matter of, again, different generations raise their children differently.
Yep.
But it's gone, as far as I'm concerned, it's just this. It's on a whole nother level now
on
with
a whole
these
nother
with
level.
these children. So
Like I said, I just, and to recap the whole thing, we going back, I just don't think that parents, yes, some parents do need to be held accountable when it's, when it's crazy shit going on in the house and all of that stuff. But when you have two good, hard-working parents that's trying to do the right thing,
or even a single parent,
or mainly a single parent, a single mother, single father, when they're trying to do the best that they can, and their kid is just acting a damn fool, and you gonna hold that parent responsible for that? Hell no. No. Whoop that kid ass. Put that kid in Scared Straight program
they don't
or
have those anymore, do they?
no, because it don't work.
No, because they're not
'Cause they
scared.
ain't scared.
They ain't scared of prison.
No, put them in Pierre's Whoop That Ass program, and me and my partners will get a hold of them, and we'll straighten them out. That's my next business. We gonna go. I'm getting my partners, and we creating this. We got this business where we go around. You call us, we come to the house, we whoop the teenager's ass, and then first we gotta get you to sign the waiver. We whoop their ass. And then, we come back. And if you need us to come back, we'll put you on a monthly subscription when we come through and we whoop that ass.
Oh no.
No, seriously, I'm about respect. I'm definitely about respect. That's what my dad taught me. That's what my uncles taught me. That's what my grandmother and my grandfather and my mom and all of them taught me about respect.
Yeah.
You respect your parents. And that's the bottom line of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we're not
exactly.
getting that from our kids today. And that's what we need.
Yep. All right.
Yeah.
So I think that's it. I think you done said enough.
I think I could keep. We're gonna have part 2 to this. We'll come back on another one. Part 2 because
I think you said enough.
I
I
said
don't know if we're gonna do a part 2. We'll see, people. We'll see.
Just don't
We'll
worry.
see.
Just remember my business. I'm gonna have my business. It's called Beat That Ass Incorporated.
Oh, anyway, y'all, thank you for listening. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. I always
Yep.
forget to say that in the beginning. We're continuing to build our channel, so we'd really appreciate it if you like, share, and subscribe.
Yep.
Hit that notification bell so you know when we put out new content. And please remember, my book, 30 Years and Counting, is out there. It's on, you can get the ebook at loveparkconnection.com, so you can download the ebook. You can get the book on Amazon, which at some point I'm going to buy some books so you can buy it directly from me, but right now you can get it at Amazon. So please buy a book. I'd love to hear what you guys think.
Yes.
And I think that's enough for today.
Well, I'd like to see some comments. I want to see the comments, what they're going to say on this one. We normally don't get no comments. I want to see comments. Look,
wanna
we're going to get I want to see the comments.
See, he's the one. He don't mind. He likes to put himself out there. Me, I'm a little more reserved. I'm like, do we really want to do this episode?
I'm like, put the comments
He
out there.
wants
We
to
had
see that.
one comment one time when we actually kind of talked about a little bit of this issue about the parenting and spanking your child. Spanking. Look, I hate saying that.
You like
But we had some person that commented about, that's just taking us back to slavery and all this stuff. I was like, it took me so, I had to bite a hole in my lip. And we just said, thank you for your comment. But, it was hard. It was hard.
Okay. Anyway,
Anyway.
thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.